You got to take everything serious. Okay. All right. We're going to have a few folks out. I hope they come in, but we'll go ahead and get started. If Representative Jackson opens up in prayer and the clerk call roll.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Chairman. Father God, we thank you this morning for your loving kindness and tender mercies, for your grace, for traveling grace to this house this morning. Ask your blessings upon people that are going through a disturbance in our nation. We ask you to look on our leadership here in this state and on this committee. Bless your people. Those that are in attendance, keep us with a mind to do your perfect will. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Treadaway? Here. Mr. Stringer? Mr. Jackson? Here. Mr. Barnes?
Here.
Mr. Bedsole?
Here.
Mr. Bolton?
Here.
Mr. Engel? Mr. Estes?
Here.
Ms. Fittler? Here. Mr. Gray?
Here.
Ms. Morris? Here. Mr. Pettus?
Here.
Ms. Shaver? Mr. Starnes?
Here.
Mr. Wadsworth? A quorum is present.
Thanks, Teresa. Before we get started, we do have a public hearing called on House Bill 88. Sign-up sheet is at the podium. So those who are interested in speaking, please sign up. Brings us to our first bill, House Bill 274, Representative Simpson. And we've got two amendments that have.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Last year, we were in session and you guys passed out of committee, and it actually passed the House and the Senate, became law, a bill that prohibited people from flying drones over prison structures to kind of stop the contraband being delivered. What this bill would do would allow the prisons to make efforts to stop that from happening by jamming, hacking, or physical capture or other measure to intercept or disable or disrupt those systems as well. So it's not just waiting till someone does and getting the felony. It allows them to proactively stop that from occurring. So that's what this bill does.
My understanding, we have two amendments that are going to be handled by Representative Bedsole. Let's go ahead and get the amendments before us.
Yes, sir. The first will be replace line 32 on page 2 with the following. Jamming to the extent consistent with federal law and regulation, including those of the Federal Communication Commission. It's just some technical language to ensure that the jamming process is consistent with federal law in this case. And the next amendment will be replace line 38 through 43 on page 2 with the following, per B. This section shall be construed to eliminate just some liability language that was removed and then realigned to make the code flow the way it's supposed to.
All right, we've heard the amendments. Are any questions on the amendments? If not, I'll enter. We got a question?
No, I just want to adopt.
Okay. We got a motion to adopt the amendments by Representative Jackson, second by Representative Pettus. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All right. Any noes? All right, the ayes have it. The bill is now before us as amended. Any questions on the bill?
I had a question, but I think the amendment changed it. You're doing this electronically.
Yes, some of the ways it will be electronically for the jamming, but there are other ways to physically capture or other methods that they can take.
Okay.
All right, seeing no other questions, I entertain a motion to adopt. Representative Pettus, second by Representative Estes. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Your bill has a favorable report as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee.
Thank you. All right, that brings us to House Bill 157, Representative Lee. Somebody carrying the bill for Representative Lee or familiar with the bill? Voting certain voting events exempt from it. All right, we'll move past that and okay. That takes us to Representative Stringer's not here either, so we might come back to that in a minute. So that brings us to House Bill 287, Representative Bedsole.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, every year you guys are kind enough to pause what we do here and participate in the Legislative Medal of Honor ceremony for law enforcement. That ceremony has been carried out year to year by resolution. What HB 287 does will codify that event so that the joint House and Senate will come together every year to offer this Medal of Honor to law enforcement. It simply just puts it into law.
Okay. Y'all have heard the explanation.
What did he say? Excuse me.
All right, Representative Jackson.
Could you say that again, Representative?
Yes, sir. Every year, as a part of the legislative session, one day we always designate to honor our law enforcement members across the state. We have a formal medal that was adopted. I believe this was started by Representative Sanderford, and it's a day in which we honor them for a act of heroism. We ask for submissions from law enforcement agencies across the state. And we bring them in and bestow upon them a medal for their achievement. And this just simply puts that ceremony into law. What we have been doing is just simple resolution every year, calling the House and Senate together.
Okay, so those medals are real, that even though we didn't have a law.
They are real.
Thank you, because people got a medal and it wasn't, it wasn't about. Thank you so much for bringing that. Thank you, sir.
All right. Seeing no other questions, entertain a motion, favorable report, Representative Pettus, second by Representative Jackson. All in favor indicate by saying aye. All opposed. Your bill has a favorable report. That brings us to House Bill 301, Representative Paramore.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Mr. Jackson, this is a real simple bill.
Just challenged you, man.
That's right.
He's already pushed his speaking button.
That's right. He's already pushed his button, hasn't he? No, simply this bill allows the Southeastern Mvskoke Nation, which is located in Pike County, to have a police officer on their reservation, just their reservation, nowhere else do they have jurisdiction or powers. So that's what this bill does. It's a mirror image of a bill we passed last year for the Mowa Indians. Yeah.
Representative Jackson.
Hey, you did a great job. Thank you so much. Can they keep ice off the reservation?
We'll ask them.
Thank you so much. I move favorable report.
All right. See no other questions. I got a motion favorable report, Representative Jackson, second by Representative Bolton. All in favor indicate by saying aye. All opposed. Your bill has a favorable report.
Thank you. Thank you, committee.
All right, let's move back up to House Bill 157, Representative Lee, and it does have a sub. And Representative Bedsole, are you going to?
Yeah, I'll give it my best shot, Mr. Chairman. We do have a sub that I'll just jump right into, but the bill in and of itself is an attempt to fishing tournaments that have less than 30 vessels. This would exempt them from having to apply for a permit with ALEA. Specifically, the reason for the sub is just to make sure we're defining exactly what we're talking about, that this would be for fishing tournaments. The original language of the bill kind of left it a little vague that it could be for other marine type events, but with ALEA's help and support here, this is just defining on page 2 of the sub, paren D, that's any fishing tournament consisting of 30 vessels or fewer is not required to obtain an event permit or any similar event authorization adopted by the Secretary. So just smaller events, they don't have to go through the permitting process, and ALEA was worked with on this bill.
All right, you've heard the explanation of the sub. Any questions on the sub? If not, we got a question? Okay, Representative Fiddler.
Okay, in our area, we have regattas, sailboat regattas, all the time. Twice a week. So, but we leave out regattas.
Yes.
Can we add regattas in there?
That would be a great question for the sponsor of the bill. I withdraw my attempt to explain this bill now.
So we do have them in the Gulf Shores area, the Orange Beach area, Josephine, Fairhope. They're not getting permits now and haven't, as far as I know. And so.
Can I go to line 31? Maybe I'm missing something here. It says the term includes any regatta, motorboat, or am I missing something?
Well, that's on 45. It doesn't. It says any fishing tournament.
You looking at the sub?
Vessels. This one. The one the.
Can we asking the members of the least?
Yeah. What does line 31 on yours say? Which one are you looking at? Doesn't that answer your question right there?
The term includes that it does up there, but on the D it just says any fishing tournament. The original excluded regattas, marine parades, and all that, but on this it doesn't say. It just says fishing tournament.
Yeah, so I believe the intent here is to narrowly define this to the exemption to fishing tournaments, that a marine regatta is still required to have a permit. I'm looking to the back of the room for our LEA guys that are here. Yep, so that's right. So I believe the intent here is not to exempt those events, and I'm going to assume as a matter of boater safety, there's probably more, they're more confined or closer together than a fishing tournament where if you had less than 30 vessels, they could be spread out more on the water, and this is not as much of a concern. But the regatta, by its nature, would bring boats closer together. I believe that's still what we still want to permit.
Leah, you got any comments on that? Can you come to the mic real quick? Give your name and who you work for, please.
Sure. Sam Adams, Governmental Affairs Director at LEA. And yes, we work with Representative Lee on fishing tournaments only.
Okay.
Because that's where we've heard a lot of this action. I did speak briefly with Representative Fiddler about regattas earlier, but we maintain that we want to continue the permitting process for regattas and other races like that, especially for federally concurrent waters that they may be in that part of the world and that sort of thing. But glad to continue the conversation as this goes forward.
Yeah, they don't get permits now, and they sell less than 30 vessels. And it may not be included, but the D didn't include it like it did before on line 45. So that's the question.
That's correct. This substitute just focuses on exempting fishing tournaments below or 30 vessels or fewer. That was the intent of what Representative Lee was trying to do.
Right. All right, you heard the explanation. Is there any other questions on the substitute? Got a motion to move the substitute by Representative Jackson, second by Representative Pettus. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
All right, the ayes have it. Now the bill's before us as substituted. Any additional questions? Not seeing any, I'll have a motion for favorable report. Representative Jackson, second by Representative Pettus. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
No.
The bill has any nays?
Just one.
Just one.
I would need to make sure regattas are in there.
All right. The bill has a favorable report as substituted. That brings us to House Bill 254, Representative Stringer. Vessels, probable cause to stop and board. Did he speak to anybody? Is anybody handling that bill? All right, we'll move to the public hearing and we'll come back to it and see if he's here. Anybody signed up in the public hearing? Nobody signed up? I wonder why they called it. All right, thank you. All right, that brings us to House Bill 88, no public hearing. Representative Pettus.
Currently in Alabama, LEA gives our driver's test in 11 different languages. This bill, all it does is say it will be done in English only.
I have a question.
All right, hold on. You've heard the explanation of the bill. Representative Morris, Jackson, and then Wadsworth.
Why? I mean, just if it's something that they are already doing and it's not hindering or hurting, why do we just have to do it in just English? How long have they been doing it in the other languages?
It's been done many years. It was done by a court order is the reason it was done. And then just like Representative Simpson said yesterday, sometimes the courts get it wrong, and this is an effort to change the court.
This is an effort to change
Court ruling.
Court rulings about citizens who speak or may speak English, but more fluent in their own language, and there has not been an issue, but
There's been many issues. We've had bukus of wrecks in Alabama with people who don't speak English. When they're stopped, officers cannot talk to them because most of our officers speak English only. All of our road signs are in English. If the road's closed ahead and they can't read English, can't speak English, there's a problem.
so what we're saying is if you don't speak English, you can't drive in the United States, well, in Alabama.
No, all it says, if you have an Alabama driver's license, your test will be given in English only.
Well,
No
what
other state.
you just said that the wrecks and everything that take place, that the person can't speak English. So even if you take it off of the drivers, test and they're still driving the vehicle and they have an accident, they still can't speak English. I mean, so is this, what's the punishment for it? Are they going to be subject to a felony, or what's the punishment for someone who can't speak or limited in English? Because we're not going to just say can't speak English, limited.
If they don't have a driver's license, it falls under the current law that says if you don't have a driver's license, you'll be written a citation.
Ooh, my. I just don't see like if the people were already given the test in multiple languages, and then to say, well, we are having a problem with the drivers on the street, what does that have to do with taking the test itself versus being out on the street driving?
Well, I'll give you for instance, I worked in driver's license for 5 years. One of the instances, the examiner said, get in the car and turn your lights on. They went and got in the passenger side. They couldn't understand enough English to even follow the instructions of the examiner. This is a problem all over the state. It happens every day, and it is a problem, and I'm trying to fix it.
Okay, so now, this is going to be my last thing because none of that actually made sense to me, that you're going to tell a person who's coming to take a driving test to get in the car and turn the light on they got on the passenger side. None of that is sitting well, but we all know the climate, and we'll just have to deal with it when it comes to the floor, because I know it'll come out of here. But this is just does not make any sense at all.
Representative Jackson.
Thank you, Ms. This is a little cruel and inhumane. In a state where we got in our chamber, in God we trust. So my issues are, what God are we trusted in that we're gonna be so cruel and inhumane to a person that doesn't speak English? Why not help them to learn the language? It's just like a person that can't read. You won't give them an oral exam. You just they have to have written exam when they can't read and write. Are this going to go along with that as well?
No, if you do not read and write, the test will be written. It will be read to you by a computer.
Well, why can't this be done the same way?
It can. That's what it's doing.
Why are you taking that opportunity away from these people?
Because all of our language in Alabama is English. If you putting our examiners at risk getting in the cars when they say turn right and they turn left in front of a car, they do not understand English. They need to be able to understand. Once they understand English, like you said, teach them, then they can go take the driver's test.
Well, we should do that before we punish them. I know a lot of people speak English and turn left on the right signal. That's why they have so many accidents. Not because of the person that can't read or don't understand the language. It's just that people just careless. I'm through my speaking.
All right, Representative Wadsworth.
I'm concerned about this bill. I've helped people get driver's license over the years. I just got through helping a gentleman that didn't have a license for 20 years. He spoke English, but he went to get his driver's test 8 times, and each time there was some issue why he couldn't do it. He went and had a non-driver ID, and they wouldn't let him take the test because he didn't have his birth certificate, even though he had a state of Alabama non-driver ID. Our goal in the legislature is to help people get licensed, because once you get stopped for driving without a license, people are working and they stop and they get charged with driving license, then it's going to add 90 more days to there, and they never get out of the system. You know, we've been doing this for umpteen years, providing this, and we've got to be able to help people get driver's license instead of putting roadblocks up to prevent them from getting driver's license. One of the things that's in this bill on page 3, it says no matter who it is, they can't use electronic device, a translation dictionary, or interpreter to assist in their examination. You know, what we want is we want people to have driver's license. Right now, if you have a suspended license, you've got to go to work, and you've got to be able to provide a living. But what we're doing is putting roadblocks up so that people can't go to work. And if the purpose of the bill is to limit the people in the United States or Alabama from being able to take a test, I think that's wrong. I think once you're in the system and you're having to pay something, you'll never, ever get your license back, and that's not what we want. You know, you may have legal people that have come into the United States, and those legal people have come in, done everything they're supposed to do, but now we're saying, well, unless you can speak English, you can't get a license. I just think that's completely wrong. We want to help people get licenses, not hinder them. And because Aaliyah maybe doesn't want to hire interpreters to help, well, they've been court ordered to do it. If they want to change it, let them not go through the legislature. Let them go back to the court that issued that order, and not go around the court system. But I want to help people get driver's licenses, and that's not what this bill does. This hinders it.
Representative Gray?
Well, I'm good now. Walsworth really kind of spoke to page 3 where I was talking about around the, not being able to use a dictionary or interpreter or anything of that nature. So that is kind of a barrier. Even if you're trying to say you don't only want it English only, you're not allowing those tools to actually help them through the process. So that was kind of the point that I was going to allude to.
Okay. Representative Jackson, then Representative Estes.
Yes, I want to say thank God for the courts back in the day. But on page 3, line 81, in no way shall the State Department of Education be responsible for approval and training of private high schools, drivers, education instructors, third-party testing agents for Aaliyah. Well, you said something about education, but now you're saying in the bill it said it should not be, there won't be any educating. So what are we will? We just want to just take away the opportunity? Is this a right for a person or a privilege to be able to do these things? And we want to take away that privilege or deny them the right to be a full citizen, to drive and to go to work and be productive. Isn't that what we are to promote, the general welfare? Isn't that what we are supposed to be doing?
Line 81 is already current law, and all that is talking about is driver's ed teachers who give driver's tests at the schools. It just says that the State Department, Aaliyah picks the drivers, and they are the ones who train the drivers to give the driver's test, not the State Board of Education. But that's already current law. That does not change that.
No further questions.
Representative Estes?
Let me start by saying I do understand the concerns by my esteemed colleagues Jackson and Gray and Morris and Wadsworth. I do understand the concerns on the front end. At the same time, I think Representative Pettus makes a very good point in the extent it's not just about the license. It goes beyond the licensing process. And if you have people that can pass the test because they take it in whatever language, I'm not going to call one out because it'll seem as if I'm trying to single them out, but in whatever these other 10 or 11 languages there are, they pass the test. If they get on the highway and they can't read highway signs, we've seen that. We've had folks out in California where they've given hundreds, if not thousands, of CDLs for folks to drive, and we saw a young man try to make a turn on an interstate highway, didn't take the exit. He tried to turn on the interstate and go in the opposite direction. So I'm in favor of the bill, not so much that I'm trying to take away all the additional language in which it could be given. It's just trying, to me, it's the next step in ensuring the folks that have a driver's license in the state can go on and take the next step and read the signage. I think that is a true matter of public safety.
Representative Wadsworth and Representative Morris.
Page 2, it says that the individual seeking on page 3 on 43, it says a minor shall provide a certified birth certificate and any other documents proving identity or other authorized presence required by that rule. Well, I had this individual that had a non-driver ID that was actually provided by the state of Alabama, and you can't get that unless you have already provided information to prove your identity. But this requires a certified birth certificate for a minor plus other documents proving identity or presence. If you have a certified birth certificate, you still don't have to get a driver's license because you've got to get other documents proving identity. Well, if the state of Alabama is already giving you a non-driver ID, well then why is that? They would have had to have had a birth certificate, and what this does, this further restricts a minor from getting a driver's license. You know, our goal is to help people get to work so they can continue on, because I'll assure you, I helped this guy, and it took us 4 years to get a driver's license for all the things we had to go through. He had one a DUI in Florida, and that's it. But it took forever, and he had to leave, go to work, and then when he would go to try to get his license, he couldn't get it because they were busy, or he didn't get there in time, or it was every excuse in the world, and he only failed one time. But we need our goal should be to help people and not hurt people. Now, I think this bill hurts people in terms of getting license. And regardless of whatever nationality they are, we want drivers on the road and that are legally driving. Putting roadblocks doesn't help anybody.
Under current law, that's not being changed. The certified birth certificate's already required. Other documents, current is, if you're in school, you got to prove you're in school. If you get a STAR ID, which is required by the federal government, you have to have other documentation. That's what that's talking about.
Representative Morris?
So we are still just about the vehicles on the road, because my colleague said it's not just about, the driver test, but it's also about the people that's on the road being able to read the signage. I am willing to bet you that it's more English-speaking people who have accidents every day, turning over 18-wheelers, United States, born and raised, than it is someone who is coming from or have another language that they are speaking. We can find 1 or 2 incidents that have taken place, and we'll come with full legislation to modify something for everyone who has come in. You're going to have people who coming in from everywhere, and just because you're taking a test in your language does not mean that you don't understand English. It means that you speak your language fluently, so it's easier for you to take the test in your language other than English. But it does not mean that you don't understand English, and you're going to see the signs outside, and now you can't go to the left or go to the right or make a turn around because you don't speak. And I think that this is us again saying that the courts got it wrong, but they still have to go back to the courts. Just because we put something in law does not make it guaranteed. It still have to go back to the courts if someone file. So I guess they'll get it wrong again if they say it's unconstitutional to actually do it. But we have a lot of money to spend on unconstitutional things than things that really make sense for Alabamians to be able to move their life forward. We spend our time on things that does not matter, and we wonder why we are always last.
Okay. We have a question? Yeah. All right, Representative Fiddler.
In general, I'm in favor of people knowing English when they take driver's license tests. But responding to Representative Wadsworth's comments down there on line 43 and 44 and
What page on?
Page 2 on line 43 and 44. I question if we should change the and to or, where it says a minor shall provide to Aaliyah a certified birth certificate and any other documents proving identity or other authorized presence required by rule adopted. Could or should it be, or a minor shall provide to Aaliyah a certified birth certificate or any other documents proving identity or authorized presence? Just asking if that would help the situation down there with Representative Wadsworth brought up.
Currently under the law, like I know we're trying to change the being in school. That's also a document you got to prove that you're still in school, which Representative Bolton's working on changing that. But currently, that's another requirement. You're also required to have a Social Security card. That is also required. And then if you get a star ID, you got to prove your residence. You got to have 2 forms of documentation showing where you live. If you take the and out, you just wiped out our federal law and we'll lose our star ID.
All right, Representative Bedsole.
Yeah, and just further clarify why the and is important, because it refers to Alabama Code 32-613, which is the which authorizes the director with the governor's approval to actually set the standards and rules of driver's license. So if you had an or, it would just basically take out what the governor's authority and the director of Aaliyah would have.
All right, thank you.
Representative Estes.
I just, at the appropriate time, want to do a roll call.
Okay, we got a motion for a roll call vote. Do we have a second? I have a second, and we'll hold off on that for a minute. Representative Estes, then Representative Bedsole.
Just one quick comment as to something that Representative Morris said earlier. I'm sure she's right when we made the comment that there's more natural-born citizens and English-speaking people in our country that have more wrecks than do those who have come to our country for whatever reason, or maybe even come to this country generations before. But I would argue that that would only stand to reason that's going to be the case, because the number of natural-born citizens on the highway, I'm assuming, is much, much higher than the folks affected by this bill. So I think it only stands to reason that, yes, there would be more people, as she described, that would be involved in more accidents, because that group of people is a much larger number.
Okay, everybody, all right, I'll entertain a motion for favorable report.
Quick question, please.
All right, Representative Bedsole.
Mr. Pettus, just real quick, as I heard some of, I guess, the objection kind of lie into the spot of not being able to use any kind of translation or technical device to translate. Just from your standpoint, if there was an amendment to still mandate the test to be in English, but allow there to use some kind of electronic device to interpret, because I think in the spirit, I can get along with the idea that we're getting the mindset, so driving is a divided attention task, and if we're setting the mindset from the beginning, from the testing phase till the operation phase, everything is consistent. The vehicle is set up in standard U.S. fashion. The driver's license test, the road signs, all that to your point. However, when we all migrate into the real world, electronics, devices, interpreters have become, where we can help bridge that gap. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if there was an amendment there to allow an applicant to be able to use some sort of electronic device to translate, would that be acceptable, or would that kind of take out the intent of what you're trying to accomplish here?
That was put in by Leah, and the reason it is to stop cheating. We don't allow anybody to use their cell phones or any devices or anything to make sure they're cheating. If you do one, you'd have to do everybody, and that's the reason they don't want any devices, because you could be looking up the answers on your phone and say, "Hey, I'm looking for translation."
That's fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Representative Jackson.
Now, the person passed the test, right? They got the license. I mean, am I right?
Who?
The individuals that will want to take the English.
This is only once in the future. It's not going to go back in.
Well, they got to, if they go before, how can they pass a test if you don't get them all the instructions of the road signs and all? See, but now you want to not let them take the test unless they take it in English.
Well, the books and everything, all the manuals, everything is in English. It's not done.
But they still got the license, didn't they? Didn't they pass the test?
I'm talking about future, they haven't passed it yet because they haven't come in.
The people now that have license that are driving that are not English-speaking individuals. How did they get their license?
They had to pass the test. They had
That's what I'm saying. Thank you, Mr.
All right, before you, let me just let all the committee members know something. This was a public hearing called, even though nobody signed up on it. We will not be voting on this week, so the bill will be brought back up next week if the sponsor wants. So before we go ahead and Representative Wadsworth.
I'm just going to ask a motion to send it to a subcommittee to try to make some of the changes some of the members have suggested.
We're not going to vote on it this week. It's going to go to next week, and we'll address that next week. I understand what his motion was, but we're just hearing it today. A public hearing was called, and we're going to carry it over till next week. And then if there's a roll call vote then, or a motion to move to subcommittee, we'll address it then. So if there's no other questions, we'll move on to House Bill 254, Representative Stringer.
Thank you, Chairman. Apologize for my tardiness in demand this morning. This is going to be a bill that addresses the stopping of vessels by the Marine Police on our waterways in the state. And we have worked out a compromise with the LEA and Department of Conservation. We do have a substitute at the appropriate time.
All right, go ahead and explain the substitute.
All right, the substitute just is just going to make sure that we don't have any unintended consequences with the responsibilities and duties of our Marine Police and Conservation. The original bill said that they had to have probable cause to stop and board a vessel. There are some situations under which our Marine Police and Department of Conservation do have to board vessels, and this just cleans the language up to make sure that we're not unintendedly hindering their operations.
All right, we've heard the explanation of the sub. Is there any questions by members of the committee? Not seeing none, I'll entertain a motion for favorable. I'm sorry, Representative Jackson.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I co-sponsored this bill. And what you said unintended consequences. Now, could you kind of give us a little bit of what?
Yes, sir. There's situations like the Department of Conservation has to inspect the amount of fish that are being caught from fishermen to make sure that we're managing our fisheries,
right,
not overfishing them. There are situations under which the Marine Police do assist, like the Coast Guard and other federal agencies in inspections around our ports in those areas.
So you still have to have probable cause?
Yes, to do it just says they have to have relating to vessels to prohibit law enforcement officers from stopping and boarding a vessel for a safety or marine sanitation equipment inspection. So basically, they can't just stop to inspect your equipment.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your
Still with the
co-sponsor.
bill? Okay, just making sure. Any other questions on the sub? I'll entertain a motion for adoption of the sub. Representative Jackson, second by Representative Pettus. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, the ayes have it. The bill's now before us as substituted. If there's no other questions, I entertain motion. Favor report. Representative Fidler, second by Representative Jackson. All indicate by saying aye. In favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. The bill has a favorable report. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. A motion from Jackson, second by Pettus. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? We are adjourned.
Yeah, no doubt.
I may have missed it. Did they bring that bill up that you?
Yeah, I got it. We got it.
The no vote, they had the no votes on the very first bill you had. It did come back up.
On the one about the age limit,
No, it's the one about,
the 65.